Hi, it's Pavel with another C# exercise. This is a part B of our previous exercise where we created the class order. And in this exercise, we will kind of continue to working with that class and create an app that creates an array of 5 orders. In other words, it creates 5 objects of the class order. We will not hard code the values. Instead, we will prompt the user for each value of the class order. So our class order needs order number, customer name, and quantity. So we will ask user for those values. All right, and then we go and not allow duplicate order numbers and force user to re-enter the order number when a duplicate order number is entered. So we will be using the function we created before, the static function called equal, that compares two orders based on their order number, and if they're equal it returns true, if they are not equal then it returns false. And finally, when 5 valid orders are entered, we will display them all plus a total of all orders. In other words, it will sum up the total orders. All right, so if you missed our previous exercise, if you didn't watch that, you should, because this is, like I said, part B of that. So I already imported our original class order, and now we can code. So first things first, we need to create an array of 5 orders. So suppose you're familiar with arrays now. Typically, up until now, we would use arrays to store integers, strings, and such. But arrays can actually store pretty much anything, and they can store objects. So our order, and it's not showing in my. Oh, that's because the namespace is different. Because this is a different exercise, and I just imported the class. So I'll use this namespace on both, and now it should work. All right, so our order array, in other words, array of orders, and I'll call this array orders, and it's supposed to have 5 elements in it, 5 objects, or it will hold 5 objects. So it equals new order and hold 5 elements. So what we have here, we created an array that will hold 5 objects, 5 order objects. Okay, secondly, we need to prompt the user to enter the values for each order. Now, the best way to do it, obviously, is a loop. So let's do a loop. This is a fixed loop. We know that we will be looping 5 times. So for our integer I equals 0, I is less than 5, because obviously we start with 0, and I plus plus. Oops. And the body of the loop, let's ask the user for some input. So console dot write line, and we will ask, please enter, what is the first thing to enter? Order number. Please enter order number. Okay, now we need something to store the order number. So let's create, I believe it was string. Yeah, order number is string, customer name is string, and quantity is integer. So string order number, string customer name. These variables will hold whatever the user will enter, and integer quantity. All right. So the user enters the order number, which is a string, so we can simply do order number equals console.readLine. Secondly, we'll ask for the customer name, so console.writeLine. Please enter customer name, and we'll store that information in our in our order number. Customer name variable. So customer name equals console.readLine. Again, it's a string, so no conversion is needed. Now, quantity, on the other hand, is an integer, so we will need to convert it into the input into an integer. So console.writeLine, please enter the quantity. And our quantity equals, like I said, we'll have to convert to integer 32 and whatever the user entered, console.readLine. So this is all the information that the user has to enter. Now we need to create an object with this information in the constructor. Remember, the constructor calls the order number, or needs the order number, customer name, and quantity. So this is going to be the first. It's going to be an element in our order, the array of orders. So orders, and the index will be I. So it will automatically populate the array within with each iteration of the loop. So orders I equals new order, and we'll pass the order number, customer name, and the quantity. So our object is created now, and I can let me just test it quickly. So over here, let's output all the information. So for each element in orders, we will simply output all our order. So we will write console.writeLine, an element which is the object from the array for each iteration of for each loop. And I need the console.readLine just to pause the screen. Let's test it. Right, so please enter order number. Let's say 1, customer name. I'll just enter 1 for each, and then another would be 2. Another order is 3 for the customer name, 4 for the 4th order, and 5 for the 5th order. And now we have order number 1 with the name, order number 2. Now remember, the total that is displays here is actually part of the toString method. We added the total, which calculates the quantity time price for each order. So that's why they're different for each of the orders. So this one is a 1 quantity, this one is 2 quantity, 3, 4, and 5. But it outputs it fine. So we got our objects in the array. Now we prompt the user for each order and do not allow duplicate order numbers. All right, so how do we go about that? All right, let's create a Boolean duplicate order. yeah, let's just do that. And we will have to compare pretty much each object in the array with every other object in that array to see if they have duplicate order numbers. And in order to do that, we have like I said, we have the equal static method that does that for us. So all we have to do is really just loop through each of those orders in the array and compare them. Now we cannot just use if statement, because if the user entered the wrong number the first time, it would catch it. But if it entered it again and it was wrong, it wouldn't. It wouldn't catch it, and the program would continue. So we need to loop. We need a while loop. So while the duplicate order. So as long as that equals true. So you know what? Let me initialize it right here to true. Let's assume the user entered a duplicate order. So while it is true, we will loop to check the equal method. And we need to check it, like I said, with each element with every other element. So we need another for loop. So I'll just use integer c this time, equals 0, c is less than 5, and c++. So now we will call the static equal method. So we will pass the order equal method, and it takes two orders 1 and orders 2. So the first order will be our array orders element I from the outer loop, and it needs the order number. And the second argument is order with C. Again, it will loop 5 times, so it will compare every element inside orders with the current element that has the index I. So orders dot order number. All right, and of course semicolon. And now let me see how we catch that. Let's wrap this in our if statement. So if these orders are equal, then we will output a message for the user, console.writeLine duplicate order number. Please re-enter. Enter the order number. Okay, and we will set duplicate order to true. All right, so duplicate order equals true. Now, the way it is now, actually, it will always be true because we set it to true here. So while it is true, it would loop forever. We need something. We need to set a duplicate order by default to false at some point, which I will do right here. Order equals false. So when it hits the while loop, the duplicate order will be false. Then it goes to loop through these. If none of them is true, then this will remain. If any of them is true, then duplicate order is equal to true, and the loop goes again, and it will ask the user to enter the number of the order number again. All right. So we have the message. But what we do need to do is actually, we asked for the user to enter the number, but we need to ask him we need to catch, or the input again. So we will assign the orders I equals orders I, actually order number, equals whatever the user entered. So console dot read line. All right, so here we ask the user to input the number again because it was duplicate. Here we'll we'll set the order number for this particular order of index I. Then it goes again to our while loop, and it checks it again. It checks if this second time the user entered the number is correct, and if it isn't, it hits the duplicate order true, and it goes again. It asks the user for the number, checks it again, and it will be continue to looping until the duplicate order number will remain false. That's why we set it to false over here. Once it is false, it means that the user entered correct number, while loop is skipped, and the order number was already assigned. Okay, so now we could probably test it. See what we get. There's probably some bugs still there, I'm pretty sure. So let's do. Oh, it already tells me duplicate number. I only ordered one order. Alright, so there's something wrong, obviously, since I only entered one order number, the first one, and it already tells me it's a duplicate order. Alright, so let me do a little check here. And okay, here's what's happening. It checks itself, basically. If you go, let's say the first round, I equals 0 and C equals 0. So the orders with I equals 0, so in orders 0, and the second one is orders 0. In other words, it's the same order. So not only that we need to compare those orders, the two orders, we must make sure that it's not the same order that we're comparing to itself. So what? And which basically means that the indexes C and I cannot be the same. So if C does not equal I and order is the same. All right, let's see. Let's test that. I think this might solve the little problem. So let's say this is our first order, and we get some kind of an exception already, which is object reference not set to an instance of an object. Okay, you know what? I have to do a little debugging here and see what we get. I'll my break to the while loop. So I enter 1, 1, 1. So this is our first order. It goes to the duplicate, which is, and now it should just since C equals 1 and I equals 0, so that should oh, we get the exception already. All right, so C is 1, I is 0, and the reason for this is, okay, that this is our first loop. So in order for, we need to actually, when we enter the first object into an array, there's nothing to compare it to. So over here we have to do while duplicate order is true and I is greater than 0. In other words, if at least one object is already in the array, again, the first object cannot be duplicated. So there's only one. There's no duplicates for that. So let me see if that's gonna work now. Yeah, I know this is not very smooth, but all right. So we got for the first order. Let's make a duplicate. Let's see what happens. All right, duplicate order number. Please re-enter the number. I'll enter a duplicate again, and now I'm getting another exception, which is the same one. All right, so it catches it, but the second time around, it throws an exception. All right, so when it loops these, okay, so c equals 2, I equals 1. So we have two different orders, but okay, here we loop in 5 times through C. We don't have 5 elements. Like I said before, and I forgot to actually even do that. We cannot loop through the uninitialized elements in the array. We only have to loop through the ones that are already in there, that we already entered. So we will need to loop only up to I, because we know that I, the first time we enter an object into an array, it will be 0. The index will be 0. Now it will go to the second time. Now, first, when it's 0, this is skipped. We don't check if there's a duplicate because it's the first order. Now, the second time, I equals 1, so it goes and loops through c equals 0, which was the first element in the orders array. Then it loops over here through the second one, third one, and so forth. If it has 5 of them, the other we only they're empty. 3 of them are empty. We only have index 1 and now index 1. I mean index 0 and index 1 that we entered. That's why it was throwing an exception, because we were trying to loop through pretty much empty array, empty elements of an array. So I think this time we got it right. Okay, so we got a first order. Let's have a duplicate for the second one. I'll enter duplicate again, and duplicate again, and duplicate again, and now I enter a correct one. Let's say number 2 for the second order, and we keep going. For the third order, I'll do correct one, and for the fourth order, I'll do a duplicate again. And it's not taking it. It's actually, and for the fifth one either. So it works somewhat, but not all the way. So it caught the duplicate order with when I tried to enter order number 2, but with order number 4 and 5, it took it as a duplicate. Didn't throw didn't prompt us that it was a duplicate order. All right, so okay, so all right, we have the order equals true, so it hits the loop because while this is true, it goes to false. Now let's say we got a correct number, so it will be false. Then we'll enter another one. Oh, okay. All right, here it is. This is the issue. Our duplicate order is set to true by default, and so the first time around, it hits the while loop. I mean, not the first time around because I is not greater than 0, but when I equals 1, duplicate order equals true. Now, if I enter a number that is correct, then the duplicate order will remain false. It loops through these, doesn't find any duplicates. Good, duplicate equals false. Now it goes to another object creation. We will enter the numbers, and this is all skipped because this is only performed, the loop only go through if the duplicate order is true. So in other words, what we need to do over here, we need to initialize our duplicate order to true. This will guarantee that with every single object that is created, we will perform the check. With the exception of the first one, of course, because it's not that the index won't be greater than 0. In other words, even if you enter correct value for our order, it will still go and check that just to make sure. All right, so let's give it another try. Now I'm not gonna edit this video. This is I'm gonna leave it as is just to kind of show you the process. It's a little longer than normally, obviously, but it might be a good learning experience. Let's do a duplicate number. Let's do a duplicate again and again. Now let's do a correct one, which is 2. Now, all right, so now we have 2 orders. Let's do the third one. That one will be correct. The fourth one, I'll enter duplicate, and it catches it. It's duplicate order. Now I'll do another duplicate, and another duplicate. And now I do a correct one, and it moves on to the last object, which is number 5. And yeah, I'll do a duplicate again just to test that. It catches it. I'll do a duplicate and a duplicate and a duplicate, and now correct one. And now we have the output. Now we have 5 correct order numbers. Order number 1, order number 2, order number 3, 4, and 5. All right then. So now when we enter a duplicate number, it doesn't ask us to re-enter the name or order. That is already kept. Only all that we change, or we ask the user to re-enter, is the order number. The other 2 values are already captured and stored in the object. All right, so I think we got that one correct. So there's no more duplicates. And lastly, when 5 valid orders are entered, display them all plus a total of all orders. So what we have to do, since our orders already displayed a total for each order, all we have to do is just add those totals together to one really big total. So let's create a variable. It's gonna be a double, and I'll call it I don't know, let's call it total, I guess. Total. And over here, after the while loop, after all the checks, we will simply add to the total the orders I dot total. In other words, once the order number was corrected and everything is entered, we will simply add the total for each order into our variable total. And why is it? Use of unassigned local variable total. All right, so all we have to do is just initialize it to 0. And now we don't have it output yet, so we calculate the total, and over here, after all the elements, after all the objects are displayed, we will simply output console dot write line and total orders is, and you know what, I'm gonna store it in as a currency. That's what I meant. So total to string, and I'll store currency in it. So let's test it. Let's do order number 1. This time I'll enter some names just so it looks kind of real. Quantity, let's say 10. Enter order number I'll enter order number 2. The customer name will be Peter and quantity 20. Now I'll enter, let's say, duplicate order numbers. Number 1, customer name is, I don't know, John, and quantity is 30. But we got duplicate order number. Let's try order number 2, but that's a duplicate as well, and it is. So order number 3. It took it because it's a unique order number, and it also kept obviously the quantity and the name. So now this is order number 4. I'll do a correct one. It will be Joe and 40. And lastly, let's do some duplicate. So order number 1, and this one will be Jenny, and she'll want 50 of it, but it's a duplicate order number. I'll try another duplicate, and another duplicate, and another duplicate, and finally I'll get a normal value, number 5, and here you have it. Order number, name, quantity, and a total for order number 1. Order number 2, name, quantity, and a total, and so forth. And at the end, you have total orders is 2,992. We can just make sure that the number is correct, which it should be. I don't see why it wouldn't be. So 199.50 plus 399 plus 598. It was 598.50, right? So plus 0.5 plus 798 plus 997.50, 2,992 and 50 cents. So that is correct. All right, so it's working. After all that agony, we got it to work. So we created our array of orders, some variables that will be passed to the constructor of the object. We created a boolean that will check for the duplicate orders, and double total that will calculate the total orders. Now we went to the loop. We loop 5 times, simply because there are 5 elements in the array. Now we will enter the values for the name, the order number, and quantity. We will create an object inside the array, and then we will check for the duplication of the order. Now I already explained how this works. The duplicate order is set to true over here inside the loop. That will guarantee that each order is checked. Now within this loop, we have to make it false by default. Otherwise, it would always be true. And it will become true only if the orders are actually duplicate. Now we will skip this check if only the first object is in the array. In other words, if I is less than 0, this is not the loop is not checked. It doesn't go through the loop. And inside of this, we only check the numbers. The objects that we actually already entered. We don't check for the empty elements within the array. Now we could do this loop at the end after all the objects are already there, but this way, you catch the duplicate order number before the object is actually created or while it is being created. And here we have the total that will simply calculate the sum of all the orders, and output the toString method for each object, and at the end we'll output the total of orders. So, like I said, this was a little rough, and it didn't go as smooth as I would like it to. But this is how it goes. It never goes the first time. It never works. If it works the first time, you should be scared. What's wrong with it? That's what the debugger is for, and test your logic as well. So here you have it. Hope it helped you, and I'll see you next time. Take care.